தமிழர் தகவல் நடுவம் மனித உரிமைகள் காப்பாளர்களுக்கான இரு விருதினை இன்று வழங்க இருக்கின்றது. மிக முக்கியமாக மல்லவராயன் விஜயசுந்தரம் விஜயபாலன் அவர்களுக்கும் மறைந்த அருட்தந்தை ஜேம்ஸ் பத்திநாதர் அவர்களுக்குமான இந்த விருதை வழங்க இருக்கின்றார்கள். இந்த விருதினை வழங்குவதற்கு முதல் நாங்கள் டாக்டர் ரட்னேஸ்வரன் அவர்களை அன்போடு மேடைக்கு ஒரு சில வார்த்தைகள் கூறுமாறு அன்போடு மேடைக்கு அழைக்கின்றோம்.
Okay, so now we will be honouring two human rights defenders from Sri Lanka. So these people are people who have contributed significantly to the promotion of social, political and human rights. And we hope to inspire particularly the younger generation who are currently involved in fighting to protect rights and freedoms. This year, TIC has decided to award Malavarayan Vijayasundaram Vijayapalan and the late Reverend Father James Pattinathan. I'd like to call Dr. Ratneswaran, one of the directors of TIC, to say a few words about Malavarayan Vijayasundaram Vijayapalan.
Honorable guests and friends and ladies and gentlemen who are here today. And if you saw the documentary of late Bharata Kumar, and if he's a front face of Tamil Information Center, the other side of the coin is Mr. Vijayapalan. I think most of you all will see him the first time. Most of you will see him the first time here. And I will give some narration about his work behind the scene for the Tamil Information Center. It gives a great pleasure that I welcome Mr. and Mrs. Yoga Vijayapalan to receive this year's Human Rights Award for 2019. Vijayapalan has been an active member of the Tamil Information Center since 1984 through till 2017. And although he no longer involved in the daily activities, Mr. Vijayapalan continues to provide his experience and insight in guiding the Tamil Information Center in order that we maintain the founding principles of the Tamil Information Center. I'm grateful for the honor of introducing Mr. Vijayapalan, who has worked tirelessly throughout the decades and made a huge contribution to the Tamil-speaking people of Sri Lanka, the diaspora throughout the world, and also he worked with British Refugee Council with Mr. Malcolm Rogers, who's here today with us. Born in Ragala, the Nuwara district, Vijay was educated at Trinity College in Kandy, followed by Sivananda Vityalam Battikalu. In 1975, Mr. Vijayapalan entered the Sri Lanka Law College, and after successfully completing his law degree, he was admitted to the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka in July 1979. Later that year, Mr. Vijayapalan was appointed as the head of the legal department of Ceylon Workers' Congress. He was later, in addition to his head of the legal department, he was also taking additional responsibility of the international department of the Ceylon Workers' Congress, where he worked closely with late Mr. Thondaman, the highly respected popular Tamil politician who was famous for championing the rights of the hill country Tamils. In 1984, with his wife Yoga, he moved to Sri Lanka, to UK, due to the ongoing conflict in Sri Lanka. The same year, he was registered to practice as a solicitor in England and Wales. The same year, he also joined the Tamil Information Center. With a legal background, research experience, and journalistic skills, and document experience in documentation, he aided the Tamil Information Center and also contributed his work for the British Refugee Council along with Malcolm Rogers. Vijayapalan played a major role with our late Varadhakumar in researching, documenting, and publishing various monographs, preparing submission to the United Human Rights Council, preparing briefing statements, and editing monthly journal. There were 16 documents Mr. Vijayapalan wrote for the Tamil Information Center, and they are the seminal works. They are still the only documents published by any Tamil organization in the world. I will mention some of them. Operation of Tamils in Sri Lanka, the first edition was in 1985. Colonization of the Tamil homeland, militarization of Sri Lanka, the first edition 1986, and it was subsequently re-edited. The Tamils of Sri Lanka, the quest for human dignity, and first edition 2001, and subsequently this was revised 2006, and also subsequently. And further in the seminal work, he documented the enduring war and health inequality in Sri Lanka in 2009, and also he documented the war crimes and crimes against humanity, chronology events September 2008 till 2011. So furthermore, he wrote for the Tamil Information Center with Mr. Varadhakumar for submission to the Human Rights Council. At least six submissions was prepared, researching and documenting by Mr. Vijayapalan along with Mr. Varadhakumar. Also, he worked with the British Refugee Council from 1987 until 2004, when it was closed due to the lack of funding. During the period, he contributed to the Sri Lankan Monitor, along with Mr. Malcolm Rogers, with information of the ground situation in Sri Lanka, and he subsequently became the editor of the Sri Lankan Monitor. In addition to his academic and journalistic work, Mr. Vijayapalan also played a pivotal role in assisting asylum seekers in UK, Europe, North America, Canada, and Australia with asylum applications, particularly through his publication, which became the most respected evidence materials in the tribunals and courts. Lastly, Mr. Vijayapalan has been a teacher and mentor. He assisted several undergraduates and postgraduates with their dissertations and PhD theses. In summary, Vijayapalan has contributed to the Tamil people at times when they were most vulnerable and their human rights were being violated. Vijayapalan acted as a voice and witness and provided authoritative information at a time when facts and evidence were critically difficult due to sanctions in sanctions Sri Lanka for visiting journalists and photographers. I also recognize, we also should recognize, and it is Mrs. Yoga Vijayapalan and the children Varman and Kabilan, who are the other people that we should grateful and thank them, because over the 3 decades, Mr. Vijayapalan was able to contribute and give his time and energy to the human rights work is because of their sacrifice too. So I must end this briefing with final quote that encompasses the founding principle of the Tamil Information Center and morals of Vijayapalan along with late Mr. Varadakumar. The quote is taken from C.P. Scott, the intellectual giant of British journalism, who said, "Comment is free, but the facts are sacred." Facts are sacred for the Tamil Information Center. Now, we are privileged to give the honor to Mr. Vijayapalan. We'll ask our mayor to. We would like to invite Mr. Vijayapalan to come to the stage. Yoga, come to the stage.
திருமதி விஜயபாலன் அவர்களை அன்போடு மேடைக்கு அழைக்கின்றோம். இந்த மகத்துவமிக்க விருதினை பெற்றுக்கொள்ள திரு விஜயபாலன் அவர்களோடு சேர்ந்து இந்த விருதினை பெற்றுக்கொள்ளுமாறு அன்போடு அழைக்கின்றோம். தமிழர் தகவல் நடுவத்தின் இயக்குநர்களில் ஒருவரான டாக்டர் ரட்னேஸ்வரம் அவர்களுக்கு எங்களுடைய நன்றிகள். மிக நீண்ட ஒரு சில வார்த்தைகளில் கூறி முடிக்க முடியாத நீண்ட வரலாறுகளை விஜயபாலன் அவர்கள் கொண்டிருக்கின்றார்.